Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to talk about the key to right side bend for more rotation in your golf swing. I want to talk to you today about live view golf. Now you guys hear me say all the time that you need feedback when you're practicing. You need to know if you're actually doing what you're trying to do, and the best way to give yourself feedback ultimately is video. And not only is video the best way to give yourself feedback, but being able to see yourself simultaneously as you're doing a movement is the best form of video feedback. It's the best way I've seen to make changes in your swing and be able to correlate the differences between your feels and your reels. Live view is super easy to use and set up. Simply set it up behind or in front of you. You connect it with your iPad or phone, pop that on the ground. You can actually do your practice, see yourself as you're doing it, the best way to expedite your process. I encourage you guys to check out Live View Golf. We'll put a link in the description down below with a coupon code. All right guys, so let's talk about the key to right side bend for more rotation in your golf swing. Now, we've done a couple of videos in the past about right side bend, right, in relation to rotation and early extension. And so let's clarify what we mean by right side bend. But the point that I really want to make in this video is that there's ways to do the right side bend where you get more benefit of it, and there's ways to do it where there's less benefit. Still benefit, but less benefit. There's better ways and worse ways to do it. Now, when we say right side bend, in simple terms, what we're talking about is getting our right shoulder closer to our right hip without my hips moving forward. So that would look like this. So I've got my right shoulder closer to my right hip. There's a bend, your side bend, without my left hip working forward. Now, if I did that, my right shoulder close to my right hip and my hips work forward, we would call that a tilt. There'd be a tilt associated with that, right? I'm tilted back and bent, okay? So I'm looking for right shoulder closer to my right hip without my hips working forward. And in essence, that's really the whole point of this video, is without your hips moving forward. Of course, there is going to be some lateral motion of your pelvis during your downswing. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. What we're looking for is to avoid an excessive amount, especially when your right hip gets too low too early and your left hip gets too high. That's the issue that I see. Now again, that could be a better player problem. I'd rather have that problem than slicing the ball 40 yards to the right, okay, but it's still an issue, contact issues. What I see people do when they try and get right side bend is they try and get their right shoulder to go down. This would be just right side bend with nothing else, okay? That would be just that. Now what I see them do is their right shoulder goes down, their left hip kicks high early, their right hip is low, and they're somewhere like this, which from this angle is drastically under plane, too much tilt, and then they can't rotate. It's really the same issue during the backswing. When you see a player who looks too far this way, they never have enough rotation, right? Well, the same thing's true this way. If you've got too much tilt on either side, you're not going to be able to rotate. You guys with me on that? The key is to get your right shoulder and hip closer together without your hips moving forward. Now let's talk a little bit about how to do that. So how do we get our right shoulder and right hip closer together without the hips moving forward? What I want you to key in on as you do this is it's not just my right shoulder going lower. That's the key here. What I want you to feel is your right shoulder goes lower, but also your right hip goes higher. If I said to you, hey, get your right shoulder and your right hip closer together, those are the two options you have. I could keep my right shoulder right where it is and make my right hip go higher. They've gotten closer together. I could keep my right hip where it is and make my right shoulder go down towards it. They've also gotten closer together. Most people, when I say right shoulder and hip closer, just make their shoulder go down. That's the only part they do. And it gets closer and that's good. What I want you to do is sort of a double whammy. I want your right shoulder to go down and I want your right hip to work up like this. Now notice as I do that, as my right hip works up, where does my left hip work? Down in relation to my right hip, okay? So a lot of us, when we're talking about keeping the left side of the pelvis lower, well, a really easy way to do that is keep your right side of your pelvis higher. Again, the issue is gonna be if I try and get my right shoulder lower and my right hip goes lower as well. What just happened there? My right shoulder didn't actually get closer to my right hip. They both just got lower. that's a tilt. That's not what we want. We want a bend, which is both of those getting closer together. And that's essentially the feel you're going for in transition as you start this, is you're doing a little kind of right side oblique crunch. As I start my downswing from the top here, just to show you, again, I'm getting my right shoulder to work down, side bend, and I'm getting my right hip to work higher. That's an exaggerated feel, but that's the sensation I'm getting. I'm trying to get these two basically as close together as I can. But now, do I swing just from here? Of course not. I have to still turn as I do that, okay? What I'm saying and what we're talking about here is it'll be easier for you to do the hip rotation. It'll be easier for you to feel like your left leg goes around. It'll be easier to get your hip lower. It'll be easier to get your pelvis turned under these circumstances compared to the opposite of those. And so what you want to do here is just start to do some little shots feeling that. Just go halfway back and feel your right shoulder and right hip getting close together. Feel what it feels like to get your right hip high like this. Almost like you're working a little bit more forward with your right leg this way. And naturally, when my right hip works this way, my knee goes in. Not early extension this way. I keep my bends. Okay, that's key. My left hip goes where? It goes back automatically as I do that. This is early extension. Pelvis forward, chest away. I'm keeping the bends, the angle between my lower body and upper body, as my right leg works forward and my hip goes back. It's like a little marching move type of feel. That's the key to right side bend for more rotation. So what I do is just hit some little shots here. I'd probably take a shorter club than what I have, but just I'd work back like this. I start to feel what that feels like. Now, as I'm doing that crunch, I'm trying to feel my belt buckle and my shirt buttons and rib cage are turning towards the target as I do it. Right shoulder, right hip crunching together more this way as I work in. And then I'm just gonna hit some little shots, trying to feel that same piece. And I'm really just feeling that like for the first foot or so of transition, little downswing. And like all other things, if this is foreign to you, you're starting slow, short club, half swings, you're recording yourself, not just going based on what you feel. And so same sort of thing, I'm taking my setup. I might even just from here start to feel a little bit of that. Keep your bends, but let your right leg work forward, right hip, right shoulder closer together without your hip working forward. My left hip's kind of working back behind me. That's the sensation I'm getting there. And then I'm gonna hit a little half one, feeling that same exact piece. And then I'm gonna check, let's feel really solid. I'm gonna check and see that I'm actually doing what I'm doing. Start with that, and then of course there's more layers to that. We've done some videos on advanced hip rotation. You'll see some of that stuff as well. So there's more layers to what could go on here. But if you're someone who's been doing this too much, which again, you might be in a position in your golfing sort of career here where some tilt and lateral might be better than what you currently have. Okay, I'm not saying that's inherently incorrect, but too much of this can cause problems. If that's you and you want more pelvis rotation, work the shoulder and hip closer together, feel that go forward as you maintain your bends. You gotta make sure you turn with that a little bit and start with that, start short, work your way long. If you guys have any questions related to this, as always, leave a comment down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. If you liked the video, do us a favor, click the like button down below. Click the notification bell. Also, please subscribe. Thank you guys again for watching.